And we are back here on stage. As my co-host already introduced, with me on stage is Ray Doran.
Doran.
I'm sorry for that. Well, perfect. I just call you Ray.
Yes.
That's fine. From IGT Solutions. IGT Solutions?
Yeah.
Wow, that's perfect right now. He traveled all the way from Ireland to be here with us and to have a talk about about your services.
About playtesting, yeah.
And game testing.
Yep.
And I'm pretty curious what you are talking about, because game testing is something that I have done myself in the early stages of my professional career in the games industry. So
Very good.
I'm a little bit familiar with what you need to do there.
Right. So you're going to be my biggest critic.
Yeah, probably. And maybe I will have a question afterwards, so be prepared for it.
Good, thanks.
But for now, the stage is yours, and enjoy your speak.
Brilliant, thank you. Hi everybody, my name is Ray Doran. I'm the Director of Gaming at IGT Solutions. I'm here with my colleague Marco, who's the Director of Sales. So today I'm just going to be talking a couple of things around the play testing. I'll just take you through a couple of practices we do and sort of what the importance of around it is. So behind every successful video game, a team of developers put countless hours into the dedication to bring the game to life. However, even the most experienced developers may overlook some of the gameplay issues that may affect the overall experience of the game. That's where playtesting comes into play. And playtesting is a crucial part. So whether you're a seasoned developer or you're just starting out new in the role, I hope to talk, share some insights on how you can improve on the game and provide the best possible experience to your players. So what is playtesting and why is it important? So playtesting is a process that involves testing your game before it's released to the general public. It's a crucial stage of the game development process as it helps developers identify these bugs, these glitches, and any design flaws that negatively impact on the player's experience. Playtesting really kind of impacts the overall enjoyment factor of a game. Cool, should have brought my dog. One of the main reasons playtesting is so important is that it provides developers with valuable feedback from professionals who share the same passion in gaming. It's one of the things developers play in the game, like it's one thing to developer playing the game itself, but it's another whole thing to actually get a group of professionals to give feedback into it, because you're going to get different skill levels, different play styles, different preferences of testing the game. This feedback can help the developers identify areas in the game that needs improvement and adjust the game to appeal to the wider audience. So playtesting helps developers catch the bugs, glitches, and they also miss during the actual early stages of development. No matter how thorough the development team is, it's impossible to catch every bug and glitch in the game first time around. So professional playtesters can help expose those issues. I can help provide valuable information on how to fix them. In short, playtesting is a critical step within the game development process. It helps developers identify these problems, fine-tune the game, create the best possible experience without the playtesting itself. The game possibly could be released, with some serious flaws. And can hurt not only your sales, but also the reputation of your studio, particularly if you're only starting out. So therefore, developers should look at having playtesting an integral part of their game development process. So different types of playtesting. So when it comes to playtesting, developers must take into account different types of playtesting available. Each type of service has its own purpose. I can provide valuable feedback, different insights and strengths and weaknesses within the game. The first type of playtesting is obviously internal playtesting. This involves having the development team playtest the game themselves. It's a great way to catch any major bugs, particularly early on in the development process. However, it's important, since developers are already familiar with the game, they may overlook certain issues that the player could pick up and encounter. The second type of playtesting is seeking professional playtesting assistance. This involves outsourcing a select group of professionals to test the game. Professional playtesters will offer unbiased feedback while delivering detailed structural reporting, which can save costs and time. They can also gather, the player sentiment during any open or closed betas or social media channels using surveys and other methods to bring in information. And then the third type of playtesting is obviously your open playtesting, which involves your alpha testing, your beta testing, which you bring in the public to start testing the game. It provides the developers, large sample size of the testing, gathering feedback, from a diverse group of players. But finding the right group of playtesters can be quite challenging. So getting unbiased feedback is essential to keep the game the best it could be. I mean, there's a lot of gamers out there, but they're not as familiar, I suppose, to put in bug reports, replication steps, and those particular points. So regardless of the type of playtest you choose, it's important for developers to actively listen to the feedback provided. This feedback can be used to improve the game and create a better experience for players. So playtesting, again, should be an ongoing process. It should be throughout the whole development cycle, and obviously up until the game is fully polished and released, and then post-release. So when should you start playtesting in the development process? So as a game developer, it's important to know when to start playtesting your game. Playtesters should be as early as possible within the development process. Ideally, the game should be playable in some form or another. This can be an early prototype or a demo, and this shows off the core mechanics of the game. It's important to remember that the earlier you do start your playtesting, the more time you have to iterate on the game to make changes based on feedback that you've collected. This could save you a lot of time and money in the long run. It's also easier to make changes in the game at early stages of the development before too much time and resources have been invested in it. Early playtesting allows you to identify any major bugs within the game, helps you prioritize what what needs to be fixed to ensure the game is polished as possible before it's finally released. As the development process continues, playtesting should become more kind of frequent. This will help you get a better idea of how the game is resonate with your targeted audience and help identify any issues that you may have missed during any of the playtests. By the time the game is ready to be released, it should have gone through multiple rounds of playtesting and ensure that it can be the best it can be. So I mean, the life cycle of game testing is obviously your planning stage, your preparation, you performing the actions to take corrective measures, your reporting aspects of it, repair, and then obviously repeat. So the planning stage, you need to define what your objectives are. You need to start, of this obviously before the playtesting. It's important to define what you want to achieve. You look at defining your tasks that will be performed, what metrics will be measured. You need to obviously be reviewing over the latest builds. You need to look at what new features were added in, any bugs that were previously identified, what has already been fixed. If there's any update patches, post-release, you need to be aware of what's actually been put in. And obviously then you've got other targeted elements which can be part of the latest build. This is something that you need to target, if there's any stress tests or any compatibility issues that was identified. So then you decide upon obviously the aspects, who's going to be involved in this level of the stage of the playtesting. Whether you're going to bring in your QA team only, whether you're going to invite players in, or you're going to use both to expand out on getting feedback in. The next level obviously is the preparation stage. So the preparation stage, you need to set up your test environment, your playtest environment. This is your project, your IP, so it needs to be a secure environment. You need to be aware of who has access to your game, and it needs to be free from distractions. I mean, look, playtesting is not an easy task, particularly when you're sort of going through fine comb into what's happening with the game, so you don't want any distractions or anything around. You need to ensure that you have all the necessary equipment. I mean, if you're on a PC and there's going to be control and compatibility, you need to make sure all the equipment is set up, in the environment. You need to gather all the information then, and obviously the resources from various different teams. This could be your test documents, your test cases. You need to obviously test the load of the latest build, make sure it is functioning, at the early stage. And then you need to do your brief with your testers. So you need to brief the testers to, what you expect of them, and provide with clear instructions on what they need to do during the playtest. And if there's any target area, they need to be, crystal clear exactly what you're aiming for. Then you need to perform. The performance stage is where you do pretty much your extensive bug hunting. This is where you're hunting for your bugs, any glitches within the game. And it's important to track the time that it takes, for the players to complete these, each task, as well as the number of attempts it takes. So, because this is going to give you some indication of what players are going to feel as well at the same time when they're actually going through it. And you have to retest all of your old bugs. Okay, so Any bug that was reported, it may have been fixed, but you also need to retest it to make sure it's not being replicated. At the same time, you need to find other ways to reproduce it as well, just to rule it out that it is fixed. If any defect is obviously discovered, you need to test around the bug, you need to collect as much information as you possibly can, and obviously write out detailed and precise bug reports. After the playtest, you need to schedule then a debrief. The debrief is a session with your playtesters to gather just all the feedback, that you've collected, any bugs that they brought into it. But you already want to give some feedback about what their experience was. What was it like when you were playing the game and you were testing out the game? Was it fun or anything? Was there any feedback that you had in that area? Host player surveys is another big point as well. So gathering information live, when you have these guys through your Discord channels or on your social media or even live in-game chat, it's good in real time to get these guys to fill out like a scripted survey, which is asking them again about their feedback on their experience on the game, the enjoyment of the game, is there any pain points in the game, and so on. Like, it could be really useful. And obviously then you got your reporting stage, which is you could structure reports, for bugs that were found during the testing stage. The first step is obviously analyzing the feedback, categorize it into different teams. You need to organize the feedback on their different headings, gameplay, mechanics, level design, controls, and so on. But once you have it all categorized, you've categorized all your feedback, the next step is then to put on your priority. You need to put a severity level that's in there for any issues that need to be kind of addressed as a priority, any game-breaking bugs per se. And then you create dashboards, right? Creating dashboards helps track your progress over time. But it's also a quick win to try and get that information and share it, whether it's within internal teams or external teams. If you've got any publisher or investor that's asking questions about the game, it's good to give them a good portfolio and a dashboard that actually shows that you've already addressed, what work has been done, and then where you are in the future with it. So it is quite beneficial to have your dashboards ready. The repairing stage, obviously this is to collaborate with the development team. So playtesters must collaborate with the development team to obviously aim to fix these bugs. It's important that the playtesters are involved in the discussions with the developers. It should be a regular talk to ensure that everybody understands what went wrong. Is there any further clarity that needs to be on any of the tickets or anything? Or is there any additional information that needs to be gathered on that feedback? The last thing you want is playtesters to give you a load of bugs in there and then it hits the studio 2 days later to come back and say, what else is needed in here? Where did this come from? Or what did you mean by X, Y, and Z? And then you've got your repeat stage. The repeat stage is, it's start over from point one again. Once the bugs are in there, the fixes are in place, you're going to then obviously repeat it again. You're going to get your new build and start the process over. So some of the key challenges that you will see or that we've seen is obviously time constraints. Game development schedules are often tight. This leaves kind of limited time to go through thorough testing. This can lead to incomplete testing or potential bugs that can be overlooked. You look at complexity and scale. Video games are intricate software systems, right? So, you've got various components, mechanics, platforms. Testing each of these thoroughly can be quite challenging, especially in an open world or any multiplayer games. You also look at the incompatibility issues. So compatibility is a big thing. So games are released obviously on multiple platforms. You've got consoles, you've got PCs, you've got your mobiles. Each have their own hardware configurations and they've got their different operating systems. So ensuring compatibility across all of these platforms and to optimize the performance is quite demanding. Rapid iteration and updates. So games obviously receive regular updates or patches, which introduce obviously the new features, new fixes, and other content. So the QA team needs to be up to speed with all these rapid changes. They need to be all over. They need to have the full information available to them, so they don't have to come back afterwards to ask any questions. Then you got localization, internationalization, which is games are often localized, multiple languages. You got release global for different testing, for different language and translations, cultural differences, religion, other specific requirements. This can be quite complex, because you have to go through it quite thoroughly and to ensure that you're obviously meeting those expectations. Player behavior and feedback. So you must consider your behavior and feedback from your players, anticipating how a player will interact with your game, finding any exploits or addressing any users reported issues can be quite challenging to kind of get that information to the level that you would expect that information to come in, particularly because you've got such a range of various different players' preferences and play styles. Multiplayer and online infrastructure. Okay, so multiplayer games, I've been testing multiplayer games, so online infrastructure involves a lot of testing around the stability, the performance, security across a wide range of network conditions, including high player loads, different connection speeds, and potential vulnerabilities. Console certification and compliance, so releasing your games on consoles, it does require strict certification standards, which again can be quite time consuming and quite complex. QA automation, if this is an area you explore, developing these automated testing processes and tools for video games can be quite difficult, depending on the actual complexity and the actual product itself. And balancing the testing, obviously, between automation versus manual testing is crucial to get a full comprehensive coverage. And then obviously your players' expectations. So, I mean, gamers now these days, I mean, they have such high expectations for games, for quality, even minor bugs, minor glitches. I mean, these can lead to negative reviews. These can, lead to backlash. QA teams need to strive to obviously ensure that you got a polished, bug-free experience, considering the diverse expectations of the players. It's not like it was back in the day when you had Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which was absolutely amazing with the bugs that made it entertaining, that made it interesting. A lot more people are a little bit more critical now over the standard and level of games being released. So how do you find bugs in the video games? Exploratory testing, so game testers will play the game as it's supposed to be, play it by following every rule, and find the obvious bugs. You got your rule breaking assessment, which is where your game testers are going to be at the stage of breaking the game. Follow instructions, but playing to see what happens when everything but what's expected of them to do. And then you've got your unconventional methods, which is basically there's no rules involved. I mean, the players are literally there just to try and break your game. They're trying to break the physics, they're trying to break the boundaries, and it's everything. Then obviously use everything. Game testers test everything that's an option. This could be a little bit more scripted, where it's driven by check boxes, where you're literally checking every single area in particular regions or ranges of the game, and you're testing various different areas of flaws to see if there's anything in any breaks in the game code. Common bugs that we've seen and within this space is obviously your crashes is your most common one. You'll see it there. You got your freezes out there. In-game purchases bugs, which is a quite frustrating one, which is obviously crashes during your purchase and you log back in, you don't got your item, but you've been billed for it. Visual bugs, your collision, engine bugs, navigation bugs, your gameplay bugs, you got your loading resources bugs, you got your text localization bugs, and this is where just the text is, it's not fitting in the right window, or there's grammar issues or something with it. And then you got your update bugs when your game is going to update or load updates and it crashes during it and then it kills the game and then you have to do a reinstall and so on. And obviously you got your saving bugs as well, and this is where you're trying to save your game and then it doesn't save. You end up losing your game save. The benefits of playtesting for developers is around gathering the feedback. So obviously around the game mechanics, the difficulty level, or the overall enjoyment of the enjoyment factor of the game. You got playtesting can also provide insight into how players would interact with the game. Obviously to observe players navigating through the game levels, that's quite important because you get to see where they're being stuck in the game, if there's any challenge in the area, is there some boss that's preventing them from proceeding, that can sort of impact on the actual game. So that give you guys opportunities then to balance the game a little bit better in particular areas. So it can help developers identify these bugs, glitches that might have gone unnoticed. It also helps you understand your audience. It makes you understand when you're interacting with these players, children might play the game slightly different than you will see with adults, so you need to take that into consideration as well. So in conclusion, the playtesting is an essential part of any game development that should not be overlooked. Thorough testing, developers can identify the flaws and areas to improve the games, as well as gaining valuable insights of how these players interact with the game. By incorporating your playtesting into your development process, developers can create more engaging, immersive, and enjoyable games that can keep your players keep coming back for more, or when there's updates within the game. The gaming industry continues to grow and evolve, so does the importance of this playtesting. Games are getting bigger. You're getting a lot more sort of broader spectrum of games out there. While the rise of virtual reality even and other technologies, playtesting will become even more crucial to ensuring that its games are optimized to give the best player experience. And overall, the key to success for playtesting is to keep an open mind, be receptive to feedback. Nobody likes hearing, the criticism, from your game, because look, this is your passion, this is your work. You're probably working on 2-3 years. You can be a little bit closed door when people start. And we've seen it even with the AAA studios, with the public starts attacking their product. You'll see them getting very defensive over, some of the statements that are being made. But you need to keep an open mind, because the players, these are your customers, and these are the people that you need to make sure that you're delivering what they expect you to deliver. So by doing so, developers can create the games not only to be fun to play, but also to push boundaries of what's possible within the gaming. And that pretty much concludes my piece around the QA. I know I spoke really quickly, so apologize if nobody caught that. So that is me done. If anybody has any questions around playtesting.
How could a new studio afford a full service like yours? So have you any models to work together from a financial perspective?
Sorry, say that?
So it seems like full service.
Yeah.
Full service game testing company.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how an indie company, small company,
Yeah.
can afford these services. So do you have any or provide any models to
We
come
do.
together on this?
Yes, like I won't speak about it openly here, but look, myself and Marco is going to be floating around here today. We have, I suppose, look, when we started in this gaming space, we did start off, working with AAA studios, but we've gone out of our way, and that's the reason why we're here today. We go out of our way to try and see, can we offer services and assistance to the smaller upcoming companies as well. So we will offer tailored solutions that are very competitive, that are conscious of limited budgets in particular areas. So if anybody does want to have a conversation over how that may look, for you and your team, we'll be around on the floor for the rest of the day, or after this talk, we can have a conversation about it. But yes, we do tailor to make sure that we do help, and to give you an example, there's certain areas where we've worked with some various different publishers and so on, where we will offer, if they've got multiple studios under their belt, we will offer, particular packages or deals where we will offer them an option to say, we give you, throwing an example, 100 hours of playtesting, and they will distribute it to anybody who needs it going through it. Because we're aware, right? You're the big bad service which is outsourcing out the work. People will say, how much is this going to cost me? You have to go through legal, you have to go all these different elements. But we try to make it as very easy as possible. We're not daunting. Any conversation that we have, we ain't going to charge for an open conversation. So we will talk to these guys openly. We will sign obviously an NDA, so whatever happens between us stays in between us. But we will speak openly about exactly what your requirements are. And then I will look to tailor a solution that is going to meet your expectations, that's within your budget. And then we can discuss. And there's no obligation to it. If it's out of reach, you say, no, not for me right now. We can come back at a later date and so on. But we will have the conversation with anybody who wants to openly talk about it. You?
A good question.
Any other question here?
You're banned.
Sure. No, nothing. Nothing very, I think, hard or something. You said that today the games release on different platforms, which makes it quite hard to playtest and make sure that everything is bug-free. Mm. I mean, consoles are easier on that way, but especially on PC. How crucial do you think hardware variety on playtests is?
Look, every sort of playtesting can have its challenge going through it. Anything that involves kind of cross-platform games, particularly, it can be a little bit more challenging because they're using different hardware, different operating systems, so you can come over with their own little complex scenarios.
So, in your firm, you do have different setups, different...
We have a QA lab based in our headquarters, so we would have all the equipment set up there so we can test across the very different solutions, different platforms.
Okay, thanks. Then thanks a lot for the talk.
Thank you.
And as he said, he's going to be here all day, so if you have any specific question, if you want to have a private talk with him.
Just look for me and Marco. We look at, if anybody's seen the movie Twins, I'm Danny DeVito, so.
Then we're going to have a short break again. to set up the next speaker, and we'll be here in a short bit.
Cool. Thank you.